And now you should be able to join. There we go. Okay. If you have problems, call me. Bye.
Marching hearts beat strong and true, unveiling valor in all we do. Stories rise like a morning sun. Together we stand as one. Salute to the brave who light our days, guided by kindness in noble ways. With every tale, the spirit flies, unveiling valor under open skies.
Hey, I made it.
Wave proud through winds that cry.
All right. Can you hear me? I am not hearing you for some reason. Check my speaker settings. That's right. That's right. All right. I still cannot hear you. What is going on?
Well, test, test.
Now I can hear you there. Hang on. Try it again. All right. Your mic is very quiet for some reason. All right. Yes, sir. All right, let's see what in the world is going on that we are having technical difficulties. Hey, Len, can you talk? See if I can hear you.
Yes, well, a very pleasant day, my dear. Captain
Hey,
Len Crane here with you from the Golden Rule Society charity.
thanks, Len. Hang on. I'm still having technical difficulties with my guest. Hey, John, you want to try coming, leaving, and coming back? For some reason, I just can't pick you up.
Can you hear me, Mary?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Kick John's computer so it works.
Say a little slower. I don't hear too well these days.
No, you're good. I said magically make John's computer work right so that I can hear him. We're having
Well,
difficulty on his end.
working so good so far. God bless you. Thanks to you because of you.
All right.
Answer on Monday, 9:01 a.m.
Mute. Unmute. VFX. I don't have any of those on. All right, John, can you try speaking again? Still can't hear you. Why don't you try leaving and huh? We are having slight technical difficulties with our guest coming on. I
Well,
can.
we wish them well. We're standing by to help to make it a better world.
So while we're working on figuring things out with him,
Well, good luck and God bless.
all right, John, try again.
Can you hear me?
All right, we got it. But you got feedback.
We'll see you at 10.
Okay, I'll be downstairs waiting for you at
10 o'clock.
10, a little bit before 10.
Before
I'll be
All
there.
right, John, we can hear you. We got it going. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Hey, I'll be down soon.
All right, I'm going to mute Len for a minute. All right, John, can you hear me? We lost him again. The fun part of live shows is yet things happen. So while we're working on getting him figured out.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. It's supposed to be easy, isn't it? Let's you hope so.
Hello,
All right,
can you hear
John,
me now?
we can hear you. Can you hear me? All right.
Still can't hear.
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
I can hear him as well, Mary.
Yes. Thanks, Len. So, John, oh crap. He can't hear me. Okay. On the bottom left of your screen, make sure your speaker is the right one. Otherwise, we're going to play the game of I type everything and say it, and he responds. All right, John, can you hear? All right, we are having difficulties. A disconnect. And try that. See if that helps. So, in the meantime, while we're working out things at the back end, so good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of Hometown Heroes. Today marks the beginning of our 9/11 week. It's a week of remembrance. As a nation, we came together in faith and unity and hope, remembering the lives lost, honoring the heroes who rose in face of tragedy, and holding tight to the resilience that has carried us forward for over 2 decades. This week is not only about looking back, but also about looking ahead, about how we can continue to be people who live in faith, stand together in unity, and never lose hope. Today, we are deeply honored to have 2 special guests join us. Both men have lived these lives of value, not just in words, but in action. Hey, John, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Awesome, we fixed it. All right. So our special guest, we have 2 today, is one, John Petros Sr., phenomenal man. We'll get to him in a minute. And Captain Len Kane from the U.S. Navy. But yes, he was the Navy. Yes, he did that, but he's so much more. He is a man that won Nobel Peace Prizes, who won humanitarian awards, the who's who in America. He is Captain Kindness himself. now a children's book, and the start of a whole movement of kindness. Hi, Captain Len Kane. How are you, sir? Or should I say, Captain Kindness?
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you and also with Mr. John Petros, Senior, that is. And it is a wonderful, honorable, and humble thing to do in our dedicated proxim to help make it a better world. And as you know, our Golden Rule Society charity has been doing this nationwide, worldwide, since for 53 years. And it's we're not selling anything, and we are open to anybody and anybody. The nice news is, and this is for Mrs. Mary Stanley herself, that her children, her daughter, came home one day and said, "Mom, why don't we have kindness clubs in the classrooms? Not only with the organizations that we talk about." And Mary asked me if that's a good idea, and I said I hadn't even thought about that, but implemented it. And so far, we got thousands of classrooms in the U.S. of A. and expanding to the world where we have kindness clubs. No interference with the teachers and what they're trying to teach, but it is sharing that be kind, be happy, and help make it a better world. And I don't want to dominate the conversation, but yes, uh, Restaurant, we're honored to be here with you because we heard so many nice things about you and all the wonderful things that you're doing. So keep up your great work, and we'll be honored and just just pleased to continue work with you, for you, by you, anything we can do to help. So back over to you, Mary, and back over to you, Drawn.
John's a true hometown hero, whose lives have been marked by service and sacrifice, community to community. His story reminds us that heroes don't only wear uniforms, but they also walk among us every day. He embodies the spirit of hope, the unity, and this is what this whole week represents. So, John, welcome to Hometown Heroes. We're grateful to have you here as we begin this important week of remembrance and reflection.
Thank you, Mary. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's dive in a little bit about what you do and who you are before we get into the 9/11 part of it.
All right, sure. Well, I'm a marketer. I do ads on social media platforms for businesses to help them grow and expand their business. And I also now can do 30-second video commercials on live stream TV, like Disney Plus, Hulu, all the Paramounts, and in the process of getting Roku. I also do a podcast myself on Friday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm also an ambassador for a business platform called Alignable, which I now do an in-person networking for local businesses um, once a month to help them meet one another and possibly work together. I've got approximately
And that's just a small
1,500 connections on Alignable. So if I find a business that needs something else besides what I can help them with, I guarantee I got people to connect them to.
That is true. And you've made a lot of connections for me, so. And that's not even
Good luck.
talking about the veterans and all that you do in the process along with it.
Yeah, my folks have been. My folks were in a veterans group for many years. One of the oldest veterans groups in the country, the Army and Navy Union. They both not only held local offices, state offices, but also national offices. One year, my father was national commander, and a different year, my mother was national lady president of the auxiliary. So I've met a lot of people in that group because my younger years, I used to go on vacation with them, and that was our vacation, spending a week. Um, a lot of people have heard of General George Patton, the one the movie was made about. There was a gentleman up here that my father started off working with, created the Patton Memorial Society up here in Massachusetts for the simple reason his wife, Beatrice Air Patton, was born right here in the city of Lowell at the Air Estate. And General Patton's picture hangs in the lobby of the auditorium downtown. A lot of people don't know that there's a lot of different possibilities meeting um, a lot of famous people from the military. I had the privilege, believe it or not, to actually hold one of his pistols, which were the handles were made of pearl, I believe. That's something that a lot of people don't get to do. I
No,
had the
that's
I had the privilege of meeting General Patton's son and daughter one year when we came up for the annual event.
that's cool. That wow, that's like my dream to meet people like that. You know, you have a privilege of meeting another gentleman who actually created the Top Gun school. He is the very first Top Gun, the original founder of Malamar, Len Kane.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Len.
Well, it's an honor being with you, my friend, because certainly it sounds great, the wonderful things you're doing to help make it a better world. And that's why we're here to serve and just keep doing the best we can. And I'd just be anxious to meet you someday or maybe communicate, whatever is convenient for you. And by the way, I tell people on the radio shows that we do here with Mary Stanley, I always introduce myself. I said, ladies and gentlemen, here's the things I want to stress. We're not selling anything. So we're here to serve. And people say, oh, that's good. And we give them gifts available to them. And we always encourage them. If you want to use the gifts, you can always share them with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your churches, your charities, whoever, because we're here to serve the good Lord. And I jokingly tell people that they ask me what I'm doing. I said, I'm busy working for the good Lord. He doesn't pay me anything, but I understand his retirement program is out of this world. All in good fun, but it's really the truth. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. John, God bless you. Back over to you, John.
So,
Mary is a great person to know. And I support what she's done.
thank you. You know, John, how do you manage to do everything in your day? I mean, you are helping businesses learn how to market themselves, for one. You guide and just listen to us rant, or, you get into other networking events. You're always in mind when you can to support what I'm doing, and you support so many people. How do you do it?
Well, all I can say is it's not easy. There's some days I wish I had more than 24 hours in a day. It's also getting less to sleep at night.
And you've got kids, so you've got your hands full there.
Yeah. Luckily, my kids pretty much older now. The youngest one is 12, and she's dying to become a teenager.
They kind of start the teenage phase when they hit 4.
Yeah,
And they
this
get
one's
there.
kind of like getting there.
Hey, never a dull moment in our households, is there?
Nope. Especially since my wife does daycare during the daytime here too. So
Are you still up in Massachusetts there, John?
I'm sorry.
I'm
What
sorry.
was that?
You mentioned you were from Massachusetts. Are you still living up in Massachusetts?
Yes, I was born and raised in Lowell, and about maybe 15, 16 years ago, I moved to the town right next door.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Because I was a coal miner's kid from Pennsylvania, but now we're out here in California, helping to make it a better world. I keep saying, but all in good fun.
That's that's how I got the name of my business, Mill City Marketing MA, because Lowell was one of the cities in the Industrial Revolutions way back when. It still has a lot of the mills, and most of them have been transferred over to condominiums.
Well, that's good for you. What I'll do is I'll ask Mary a big favor. She has my uh, email address, and I'll ask her to share it with you if you'd like to just have a conversation on the
I will
telephone.
forward each other your information to each other. How's that sound?
That sounds fair to me.
That
And
sounds like
again,
a plan.
we're not selling anything, John. Just wanted to do the work of the Lord and help make it a better world. By golly.
That's true.
So, John, let's talk a little bit about 9/11 and about what your experiences during that time.
Who do you want to go first?
Whatever you want to share.
I remember that day we had young twins at the time, and we were taking and putting them into the car, taken to the doctor's office. And I had I saw military jets flying overhead, and I said to myself, I said, something's going on. We got in the car, turned the radio on, and we found out what was going on. And I had a niece who was living in Manhattan at the time. So the first thing that went through my head was, is she okay? And of course, trying to call was impossible, but we did get hold of her. Luckily, she was in the north part of Manhattan. She couldn't go back to her apartment for at least a week, if not more. She was living right across from Macy's. And I found out as the days went on, the first plane that hit towers, the pilot, John Okanowski, owns a farm up here in Drake, where I am. So when that all came out, this town was very sad for quite a while. And I didn't check into this but I'm pretty sure one of the first pieces of the beam that was sent out as a memorial was sent to the fire station directly across from his farm.
Yep. Some of the beams went out to different areas, different fire departments, different areas that way. Another part of one of the beams is actually at Patriots Park in Buffalo, New York. And then some of the beams are actually used in the USS New York ship.
Yep, I heard that. Yeah, and I forget how long it was after that. I was down in New York City, and we went to the site when they had the wall all up around it. They were still pulling out some of the debris to go through. And I can tell you from being there, looking through the holes in the wall, there was a feeling that there was other presence there, which I'm sure there was. Because about a week after we came back home, word came out that they found how many people in a room in one of the subway tunnels. Um, it was probably about a week after I was home. So it's to have that feeling when you're there at the site. I can only imagine how you felt.
Well, to this day, I still cannot listen to firemen's alerts. Those boxes they carry, the distress signals.
Yeah, there must have been a lot of that day.
I still once in a while wake up hearing it. Um, I'm very careful what shows I watch,
Yeah,
which is ironic because one of my favorite shows is Chicago Fire.
I've watched that a couple of times.
I'm a Chicago fan. I like them all.
Well, me, I happen to be a Boston fan.
Mary, you're a good supporter for all that you do. Matter of fact, I'm sure, John, that you know that Mary did a wonderful job as she served in the military. And when she came out, she contacted me and she asked about being a part of the Golden Rule Society charity. Again, we're all non-paid. And I looked at her background and I said, Mary, you would be nothing more than an honor and a pleasure to have you on board. And by the way, she has done a marvelous job as a senior advisor to the Golden Rule Society charity. And some other things that she has helped with the Golden Rule Society. We've only got 5 nominations for the Nobel Peace Prize. Only 5. And in 2014, they told me that I was number 2 in the world. And I told them, I said, hey, I was an old fighter pilot, Top Gun East Coast, all Navy Top Gun, and all that sort of stuff. And they laughed and they said, that's okay. But we continue on. And the nice things about that, after being in Top Gun, the Top Gun, they convinced me that I should be a fighter pilot instructor. I said, oh, okay, sure, why not? And they also told me that I set a world record by flying 6 different types of airplanes in 2-day period. Air combat maneuvering, up and down, yanking and banking, all that. And that was fine. And what we did was we helped develop the tactics that keep you alive in combat. Matter of fact, There's a gentleman who was the head of the Air Force in the Pacific, and he heard what we were doing, and he came out to the USS Enterprise, where I was aboard as a fighter pilot, and he said, "Len, you got to tell me what you're doing." And this gentleman, when he was in World War II as a fighter pilot in the Air Force, he shot down 7 Nazi airplanes. Pretty much a world record, for crying out loud. And here he is visiting me, an old coal miner's kid, wanting to know what we're doing. So I spent half a day aboard the ship with he and his assistant. And they said, well, that sounds pretty good. Matter of fact, everybody had already given the tactics a nickname. They call it the CAT program, Cane Air Tactics. That's an honor, but it's still they're air combat maneuvering. And he went back to his organization, which he represented in the Pacific, not just the Atlantic, but in the Pacific with the Air Force, and they implemented the CAT program, Cane Air Tactics. And it was about a week or so later, but he sent me a message and he said, Len, we implemented your program, and guess what? We virtually cut our losses in half in just a week's time. And you can imagine what a wonderful feeling it is in your heart to know how many lives you have saved. Oh, it just goes on and on. And one more last thing, and I don't mean it as a brag, but I want to let you know what the kind of a program that we have. Ladies and gentlemen who are listening, this is going to knock your socks off, because one of our senior advisors in the Golden Rule Society was a Marine over there in Vietnam. He's on the ground. Never met him, didn't know who he was. But years later, we got to meet each other because we were both from Pennsylvania. Me from the East Coast, he was of the West Coast. But we both served. He, as I said, Marine, and me as a Navy fighter pilot. So we met one day and we were talking about it, this, that, and the other. So the next thing you know, he is a senior advisor in the Golden Rule Society charity. Brilliant guy, wonderful man, personality, just super duper. But anyway, we're going to meet again here in a week or so in California. He and his wife are coming out from Florida, and we're going to have a nice time together. But the point I was trying to make is he introduced me to this gentleman by the name of Alexander Candelario. Now, people say, who's Alexander Candelario? Well, Jim Kyle said, you got to go down to Texas to meet him. So I left California, went down to meet him. And Alexander was medically discharged from the Army, anyway, from the service. He was a Marine and discharged. And what they did was they sent him to college. And here he is going to college. So I went, met him, and we introduced, met each other. That was all very nice. And it didn't take me very long. After chatting with him, I said, Alexander, what you're doing is incredible. I haven't heard about his brilliance that he had. And long story short, he showed me what he was doing. And the name of his organization that he was called Intiva Health. Intiva, informational technology, videos, audios, all that sort of stuff. But here's what I did. What I do was I funded his organization. He became a corporation, and his business was helping the good people in the business with all the doctors and the nurses, hospitals, supporters in the country. And here's the thing that I'm going to say, and this is going to knock your socks off. About 3.5 years ago, we were designated and named the #1 organization in the world supporting the medical industry. Now, you talk about how do you feel in the morning? My wife and I wake up and say, I wonder how many lives we saved today. Because that's what we're doing, and that's why we're here to serve. And I'll be happy to share any and all the information. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, you got your piece of paper and a pen, write this down. Very simple. And you know how it goes, www.Golden Rule Society. And that's all one word, no spaces. Golden Rule Society dot the letters ORG. Simply means a charitable, nonprofit, tax-exempt organization, nationwide, worldwide. Now, when you go to that site, there are all sorts of nice gifts that you can use for you, and you can share with your family, friends, neighbors, church, charity. That's up to you. But while you're there, you can go look up Intiva Health, and you'll see Intiva Health being the #1 organization in the world supporting the medical industry, because nationwide, worldwide, people are coming over from all different countries and are saying, hey, we'd like to implement this, put this as part of the organization. And it just helps everybody. And we're very honored to be part of the Intiva Health program, as well as you should be. But when you look at it and you read it and you say, this is incredible. It really is. It's nice to know that somebody is doing this, and I'm going to give Mr. Alexander Candelaria all the credit. And I got to give Mr. Joe Ron Clayton and his organization, Jim Kyle. They get the credit because they're working long hours. And Jim Kyle, he is now the vice president of Intiva Health and has been for the past 7 years. What a wonderful job they're doing. And I hope I'm not being too long in my words, but this is something that you can share and take advantage of it. Because when you go to the website that I mentioned, here's some of the things that I put together. Because after the Navy, 25 years or more, I was asked by an airline, Pacific Southwest Airlines, PSA. They said, Len, we know you're retired now, but we'd love for you to come aboard our airline and be an instructor and a line pilot. And I enjoyed flying airplanes. I said, well, okay, I'll do that. And I did. They made me an instructor. And the next thing you know, they said, Len, we got a dozen pilots here that are learning how to be airline pilots. So I was an instructor, teaching them how to do it. Keep the sunny side up, the wings every level and all that sort of stuff. Long story short, that organization became, by name, the Southwest Airlines out of Texas. So it was wonderful to know that we created another airline. And Pacific Southwest Airline became American Airlines. So, small world that it is, my #1 son, David, is now a captain with the American Airlines. And that's the way it goes. On and on. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're doing to help make it a better world. And you can take advantage of the gifts simply by going to goldenrulesociety.org and share it with others. Why not? You get discounts on travel because if the airlines have empty seats and you want to go on that trip there, they're going to give you a discount. If the seats are all full, no discounts. But that's completely up to them. I have no control. but that's the nice thing that they're trying to do to help others. So put it in your pocket, share it with your friends, family, friends, neighbors, whoever. And John, I'm looking forward to meeting you someday, or at least chatting on the phone, or having an email or two, whatever. But I think you have done so much, and maybe together, both side by each, we can enhance what we're doing to make it a better world. And Mary Stanley, I'm going to turn it back over to you, my dear, because I just don't want to be dominating the conversation, but it's just a joy to be with you, Mary Stanley, and for the things that you're working on. And there it is. You're looking at the the people, all of those who served, coming up next week, the 9/11, all who served. We've been
Yes,
there. Keep up your great work, Mary. You are the honor person of the year. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Mary Stanley, just a week or so ago, was selected to be in the top 100 females in the United States of America. Wow, that's great. But she's also in the top 50 females in the United States that are doing the work that she is doing, helping charities, churches, these out here, there, and everywhere. And that's what she's doing, making a better world for everybody. She earned it. She deserves it. God bless you, Mary Stanley, now and always. And we're going to continue working with you because we're helping by doing the good Lord's work to help make it a better world. Back it over to you, Mary. God bless. Thank you kindly.
thank you, sir. Hope is not just wishful thinking. It's a belief that tomorrow can be better. And that's what we have the strength to make it happen. Every flag raised, every memorial built, every child taught about 9/11 is an act of hope. John, you've carried hope in your journey.
Yep.
What does hope mean to you?
Hope to me, if you take the letters, help other people every day.
Beautiful.
I love that.
As a matter of fact,
It's
that's one of the slogans I have up on my wall here somewhere.
so many people struggling. You watch news, you watch, just social media in general. It's all about fear. And so people are struggling with fear and uncertainty and don't know which way to go. What can you say to help encourage them? Sharing your story and resilience and hope and how you help so many people. What can you say to help, one, how you help find hope in hard times? Because you've been through them, but how do you help others find hope in hard times?
Well, one of the ways is doing my marketing. I like working with the smaller businesses because to me, they're the ones that need the help the most. I've seen too many of them not come back from COVID, and some of them that did couldn't get their customer base back. And with the help that they need, a lot of smaller businesses can't afford what other marketers charge. So for me to give back, I'm willing to work with whatever they can afford. As a matter of fact, I was helping a lady in North Carolina who was starting up a nonprofit, and she was already doing a podcast when I joined up with her. So I was joining her on her podcast every week. And at one point, I think she got a little depressed. Her nonprofit wasn't growing the way she had hoped. So 3 weeks in a row, she didn't show up for the podcast. I kept it going with a couple of other people. The third week, the guy who has the network that it was on goes, John, have you ever thought of doing a podcast? And I said, well, I've been thinking about it. Why? He said, good. You want to start now? My first podcast was 10 minutes after he asked me that. I've been doing it every week since.
No, and that's the thing is perseverance. Podcasts, radio shows, opening a business. So many things. It takes time. It takes effort. It's not some people have this delusion of the, one hit wonder. You create a show and everyone's going to listen to it and you're going to be famous and you don't have to do any work, just speak.
It takes work.
It takes work and it takes, just time and faith.
Yeah. That's why I love coming on other people's shows like yours, Mary. Thank you. It gets the word out about what I do, what I'm behind.
John, before we end the show, I want you to put a link for your show into the chat so people can check it out.
Sure, I can do that.
Because, I've been on your show. I love your show. You got to get Len Kane on your show.
That's one of the things I'm going to talk to him about in the future. Near future.
No, I do have a question for you. So you're on Hulu, podcast, Paramount, all the stations that I pay extra money for to avoid commercials.
Well, see, that's the thing with marketing. We have to know how to get people's attention. I mean, the example I always use is the Geico commercials.
Yeah.
Have you ever clicked off a Geico commercial right at the beginning?
No.
Because that little talking lizard has your attention.
It's kind of like the Budweiser commercials or the Doritos commercials.
Yeah. I like watching the Super Bowl, believe it or not, the commercials.
That is the only thing we watch them for.
Unless the Patriots are in it.
We skip the game and we fast forward the game to watch the commercials.
All in good fun.
Hey, I'm Minnesota. We're never getting there. And if we get there, we're going to bomb it. I'm realist. I know how our team works. But you never know. I mean, did you catch the game last night with the Buffalo Bills?
No.
No.
That was an exciting nail-biter game. I mean, the last 5 minutes of the game lasted about a half hour. And it was they were down the whole game. Everyone, people actually started leaving the stands and were leaving thinking the game was over. And they literally won by a 2-point field goal kick in the last seconds of the game.
Wow.
It was a crazy
games I don't
game.
mind watching.
Yeah. No, it was like the first time since 1967 that the Buffalo Bills came back and actually won from a big deficit. But
Wow.
that's hope, and what I love about a lot of the teams, like the Buffalo Bills, for instance, is the faith. And, the first thing they did after the game is you see the coach pointing up towards the sky. And a lot of the players, do their little thing and show their gratitude and their faith.
We have a soft spot in our head for the Buffalo Bills because up in Buffalo, The Navy base up there is the largest Navy base in the United States. And it was an honor one day to be invited to be the guest speaker. Thanks to Ron Clayton and Mary Stanley and all the wonderful things that they did to make it happen. God bless. I'm going to quit talking and listen to you nice people instead.
And that's what 9/11's about. This week is on this show. We're going to hear stories, you know, like John, for instance, and hear about unity. We're going to hear about what they do outside of in the real world, but also about their faith, their unity, their community service, the way they give back to communities and highlight. We need to go back to that as a community. It didn't matter if you were rich or if you were poor. It didn't matter what color skin you were. People ran towards the building to get people out. People helped each other out. Kids were creating fundraisers to raise money for different things and help send care packages and letters to, we need to come back to that and stop being so divided as a society.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up the show, one more quick question for you, John. You have a lot of faith. How does faith played a role into what you're doing today?
How does Facebook?
Faith.
That's basically what I base everything on. If it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be anything.
I've asked that question a lot of times. I've never quite gotten that answer. I love that answer.
Good for you, John. Keep up your great work. And you too, Mary. Wow, super show today. Just to be sharing it with you nice people. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, sir. So, John, thank you for coming today. And then for everybody else, join us on Alignable on 9/11 at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going to host a special networking event, and John will be my co-host for the event. And it's to honor 9/11, and honor those who sacrificed, but it's also to come together and network and get to know each other on that personal level. Meet people, just learn from each other, but, have a conversation more than just business.
Yeah. And anybody who's listening, if you have a business and you're not on Alignable, you're missing out on connecting out with over 3 million people across the US and Canada.
That is true. And you don't realize the amount of people that are there and the connections you will make that you would never make in, a rate.
If it wasn't for me making a connection on Alignable, I wouldn't have the podcast that I do.
Answer off.
That is true. So the link to the event is in the chat. It's open for anybody that wants to join. And check out Alignable and, sign up. Promote your business on their network. Meet other businesses. And the best part is there's so many people on there that are willing to help you and guide you, to help you, change some of the words in your marketing, to help you create your website, to help you make business plans, or, some of them people are willing to do it for free. and some, charge low cost, depending on what you can afford. This platform was designed to help people move the next level to their business.
Well, God bless you, Mary and John. I've got to go. I've got that doctor's appointment and I can't be late for it. Wants to keep me alive. God bless. Bye bye
You
for now.
too. Bye, Len. See you later.
Bye bye.
Bye, Len. I'll be in touch.
Bye.
So, John, I want to thank you for sharing your heart with us today. As we begin this 9/11 week of remembrance, we carry forward your reminder that faith, unity, and hope are not just words, they're choices we live out every day. To families who've lost loved ones, to first responders who serve with courage, and to every American who remembers, you are not forgotten. Your stories continue to inspire us. May we
Thank you.
honor the past by living with faith. May we strengthen the present by standing in unity. And may we build the future by holding on to hope. And thanks for joining us. This is Hometown Heroes. This is a special edition. And until next time, stand tall, stay strong, and never lose hope. Join us tomorrow at noon Eastern for Travel Tuesday, which is another hometown or 9/11 theme to it. So have a good day, have a good night, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow at noon. Bye for now.
Thank you, Mary, and everybody. Have a good day.
You too, John. Thank you.